Now, the first ever International Day of Happiness was declared by the United Nations today. It's hoped it'll make governments focus more on the well-being of their citizens. But can a designated Happiness Day really make people feel more cheery? In a moment, I'll be chatting to Dr. Mark Williamson from Action for Happiness and LBC's James O'Brien, both of them very happy tonight. But first, we'll be finding out what makes you feel really happy.
Having a bit of open space and a bit of peace and quiet is great, especially in a place like this.
A good joke, a funny film.
A bit of music.
Having a day off work.
Spending time with him.
Going away, travelling, visiting other places, meeting new people.
I'm a personal trainer, and for the most part what makes me happy is clients achieving their goals.
Happy family with happiness.
I like puppies. They make me happy.
Maybe not the answer we're looking for there. Mark and James, thank you both for joining me this evening. Is this a good idea, Mark, having a Happiness Day? What do you think?
Well, I think the aim of these sort of days is to raise awareness of an issue that matters. And I think what does matter is, and it'd be very hard to argue with the fact that we all would like to live happy lives and we want happiness for the people that we care about. So I think what's important about the day is it signifies that world leaders and that the UN is taking happiness very seriously. There's more to a flourishing life than just growing the economy. International Happiness Day, yeah, on the day of the budget. There's not much happiness in that, was there? Is it a good idea, James?
Oh, there's a lot of days. It's hard to keep track, isn't it? I mean, when I was growing up, there was Pancake Day and Remembrance Sunday, which both have their roles, apart from the sort of religious festivals. And I do worry slightly that I think last week was Cornish Pasty Day, next week's probably Brush Your Teeth Day, there's going to be Buy Flowers for Your Mum Day, and it probably suffers slightly as a result of that. It doesn't make the project itself a bad idea, but I'm always slightly wary of anything that looks prescriptive when it comes to an emotion. So do this and you will be that. Always looks ever so slightly paternalistic to
A fair
me.
point, because there are so many of these days, as James says. I know that you were kind of part of the UN, weren't you, last year when they came up with this idea? But there's a lot of competition for days these days, isn't there?
Yes. Well, what's interesting is the day has been trending on Twitter today. Hundreds of thousands of people seem to be engaging with the idea, talking about, I guess, this sort of interesting dual question here. We've got a question about, does this matter in terms of our nations? So we've got the UN and leaders talking about, should we measure people's well-being? Should we make it a policy priority? Really important question. But we've also got this deeply personal, as we've heard in that footage. This is about how we feel about our lives, our relationships and so on. So what we've seen today in the pickup of the day has been conversations about the politics and conversations about happiness versus individuals. And what I love is the theme that's come out so much today is this idea of bringing happiness to others. So we've seen a lot of this idea of, actually, let's think about what we do to make others happy. And I think that's a pretty useful use for a day, actually.
Well, yes, it is. First of all, of course, trending on Twitter is no guarantee that people had nice things to say about you. As George Osborne has discovered today. We are talking about it, but we're also wondering, I suspect, whether or not you need to be told that being good to other people makes you feel good. It's sort of ever so slightly obvious, isn't it, that if you do good things, you will feel good. The economic argument is quite a seductive one, and yet what you're attempting to do really is turn an international day into something that will stand in resistance to materialistic market forces. Billions and billions and billions of pounds are being spent to convince us that we won't be happy unless we have the new watch or the new car or the new house or the new frock or the new shoes. And what are you doing in response to that? You're sort of like David with a little catapult. I'd love you to land a stone on Goliath, but I just don't think it's very likely.
No, I mean it's a real challenge, but you've got to start somewhere. And I think this is a day on the budget when people are thinking a lot about themselves, on belt tightening, on this idea of what does it mean for me. And I think what we've seen with this International Day of Happiness, and in particular the sort of happy heroes theme that's been coming out today, is people admiring and celebrating those people that bring happiness to others. OK, what makes you both happy, James? Let's start with you.
My children, probably, at the moment. Those little nuggets of time you get where you think the world is absolutely perfect will generally involve my two daughters being sitting somewhere on my person.
Oh, and Mark?
Well, I agree. My young family as well, when they're not waking me up at night, but also just being able to do something that you feel makes a difference.
OK, we will take that with us. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Great to see you tonight.